Good evening and welcome to a regular meeting of the Oak Harbor City Council. It is the evening of December 17th, 6 p.m. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Invite you to stand and join us tonight in an invocation led by Pastor Ron Lawler of the Family Bible Church, and immediately following that I will lead the Pledge of Allegiance.
All right, if you'd like to pray with me. Our Father in heaven, I must begin by thanking you for the privilege of living on this beautiful island and in this wonderful city. I pray that you guide our council members as they undertake to satisfy the demands of this meeting, strengthen them as they make tough decisions. I ask that you make their effectiveness clear to all. As they must balance conflicting requests and meet needs beyond the budget, may their decisions be guided by deep insight, strong patience, and bold decisiveness. May they, their family, and friends experience peace and joy during this holiday season. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor Lawler. Please join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we are missing three of our counselors this evening, Counselor Larson, Counselor Almberg, and Counselor Wassinger. So I would entertain a motion to excuse them. Yes, Mayor Pro Tem.
I move we excuse Councilman Almberg, Larson, and Wassinger.
Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second to excuse Counselors Almberg, Larson, and Wassinger. Motion by Mayor Pro Tem, second by Counselor Servadius. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, passes unanimously. We will move to the agenda at this time. So we have an agenda with, looks like at least 8 sections and an executive session at the end. Any changes or? Okay, seeing none, we will move along with our agenda as presented. And we will immediately go to citizen comment period. Citizens may comment on subjects of interest not listed on the agenda or items listed on the consent agenda. To ensure comments are properly recorded, please state your name clearly into the microphone. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes to ensure that all citizens have sufficient time to speak. So I see we have a list here, and I'll give you a chance even if you didn't get your name on the list. We'll start then with Mary Williford. Mary, welcome.
Mary Williford, and I live at Oak Harbor Marina and G11. So I'm here because last week there was a meeting at the First United Methodist Church to talk about, with the congregation, the third time we would be bringing the Haven as a temporary shelter there at the church. And there was quite a bit of concern about doing this another time, primarily because of the wear and tear on the facility and just the access and use of the facility when the shelter is there. So these are big issues to the congregation, and there were a couple questions that came out that nobody really could answer, so I'm here to ask you. And one of them is, what is the city doing in regards to the homeless shelter here in our community? I know that there's, best as I can tell, there's a lot of benefit to the city and the county to have the shelter here. Just looking at statistically, since the first part of this year, that's probably about 6,300 bed nights or that we have provided, that the Would-Be Homeless Coalition with the Haven has provided. And of those nights, that's a lot of nights when you think about it. And of those nights, the the Oak Harbor Police and the sheriff have been able to conservatively 34 times bring somebody to the shelter. Instead of taking them to the jail or I don't know where, that instead of putting them in the legal system here, that they've been able to bring them to the shelter to house them. As far as the hospital, they've discharged at least 17 people to the shelter. And CADA, when they don't have enough emergency housing, we've taken people and at least 8 have come into the shelter. And I was there a couple weeks ago, and it was a woman and her daughter who came in through a abuse crisis situation, and in the morning finding out that the daughter is 8 months pregnant, and it's just, there are a lot of heart-wrenching stories down there, but at least they have a safe place to be. So, it's just what I'd like to do, Mayor, is I'd like to ask you if somebody could come and speak to the North Whidbey Interfaith Network, which is, we meet quarterly. The next meeting is this Thursday from 1 to 3 at the First Reformed Church. And the information then, whether it's a city administrator or somebody from the council, just to talk about what the city is doing. And would be really helpful. I do have a copy of the most recent North Whidbey resource sheet, and along with the agenda for that meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Hand that to the clerk there, and I saw staff was taking some notes, and thank you very much. Next is Susan Shop. I hope I was close on that, Susan.
You were very close. We pronounce it Schoaf.
Okay.
My name is Susan Schoaf, and I'm the lay leader at the First United Methodist Church here in Oak Harbor. I'm here with my fellow church members to ask the City Council to address a problem in the city, and that is the problem of homelessness. We all know that this problem is a complicated one, with many causes and symptoms and issues, and that the number of people on the streets is growing in many cities throughout a big area. Because we seek to follow Jesus Christ and his commandment to love our neighbors as ourselves, our church has committed to hosting the Haven Homeless Shelter for 4 months beginning February 2020. This will be the third time in 3 years that we have done this. There are two other churches in town that have also stepped up to accommodate the shelter for months at a time during other times of the year. As you might imagine, this is a difficult task for any church. Our buildings were not designed as hotels with rooms and showers to offer overnight guests. Typically, the guests are housed in our social halls, which are also heavily used for meetings, social gatherings, retreats, the local blood bank, the garden club, and various other activities. Churches do temporarily provide overnight shelter, but where can these people go to shower? All of the facilities and businesses in Oak Harbor that previously provided showers are no longer available for various reasons. Aside from the unpleasantness of poor personal hygiene, homeless people suffer from illnesses and other medical conditions as a result of this lack of facilities. Plus, there is a real concern about transmittable diseases affecting our church members, especially the children and the elderly. A homeless job applicant cannot be successful during a job interview without the self-confidence that a shower and clean clothes can provide. A homeless individual cannot maintain steady employment or hope for advancement without access to showers and laundry facilities. Using church buildings to house the homeless is not a satisfactory long-term solution. This is a community problem, a city problem. The city of Oak Harbor should not be relying on faith organizations to step up to this difficult task. A permanent location is badly needed where overnight shelter, meals, laundry, and shower facilities are provided. We are here tonight to urge the city of Oak Harbor to take immediate action and do its part in dealing with this issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Next, we have Marty Russell.
Well, good evening. My name is Marty Russell, and I'm the trustee chairperson at the Oak Harbor First United Methodist Church. And I, along with my cohorts here, are really asking for help with this issue. It's becoming quite prevalent. The Spin Cafe is no longer able to help and assist with the homeless as far as meals. We have, for the last probably 7 or 8 years, facilitated in our kitchen, so we have a commercial kitchen at our church, twice a week, the preparation of meals for the homeless. And we continue to do that even with the closing of the Spin. But we are in this situation where we, along with 2 other churches, continually house the Haven for most of the year between the 3 of us. It's becoming quite a challenge, and especially now with the fact that they cannot, there's no shower facilities for these people, or really health care either, meals. So we're really deeply asking the city to please take into consideration these people. They're our brothers and sisters, and they, unlike you, have showers and cleaning facilities to take care of themselves. And so thank you so much for listening, and I hope that you can help create a place for them in our city. Thank you.
Thank you, Marty. David Parker.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, council members, and grateful for my parishioners and rising just to share. By the way, Bob Wall, who is the chair of Spin Board, is actually here tonight, and if you had any questions, and I believe Spin is sort of back up and running, but still couch surfing, as the Haven is also couch surfing. I am so grateful for the City Council for all that you do. You have many responsibilities. I'm actually here to offer myself to you. I'm here to offer my church to you. Whatever influence I have, I am here to offer the entire ministerial association to you, and to the county, to the business community. I really think that there's a lot of power in this community in those 4 groupings, and if we all come together and we can hit a grand slam, I think Susan is correct. Couch surfing for these humanizing, dignifying, important needs is a temporary Band-Aid that's not helpful for kind of anybody. There's a better product for everyone involved. There's actually a better outcome for our business community on Main Street downtown. I think everyone can win better if we pull together. I would love to see that happen. I'd give time and energy and attention to that. I think there is a role that the city needs to play. I think there is a role that the churches and the faith community needs to play. There's a role that the county needs to play. There is a role that the business community needs to play. It's everybody's problem. It's also everybody's opportunity. And I've been in communities where there's the rallying of those 4 entities, and the outcome is really amazing. And I think people are proud to live in a community where they have viable, tangible, and credible assets in their tool belt to deal with real life problems that, quite frankly, nobody really knows what to do with, and no one wants these problems and concerns around. But every single human being is important, is dignifiable, and unless we dignify as others, we ourselves will not be dignified. So I think I'm just here to say that appreciate you. Would love to be part of a larger group. There is a 5-year kind of commission that's county-based, I believe, on housing and homelessness and whatnot, and that's great. I think we need a microsphere of people who want to address just some of the transient feeding and housing, overnight sheltering kind of things. I think that can be more of an immediate focus. Before I ever landed here 3.5 years ago, there was some kind of proposal for, I think it had to do with zoning out on Goldie Road. And maybe there's county and city land, and maybe there's entrepreneurial dollars, maybe there's faith community efforts and energies, maybe there could be some great big grand slam that we could put together that holistically and integratively brings lots of these pieces together. So looking for leadership and love to join you in whatever you want to do.
Thank you, David, thank you. Got Matt Plush. Matt? Okay. Okay, come ahead, Bob.
Good evening. I'm Bob Wall. I'm involved with the Spin Cafe. The good news is we're not out of business. The bad news is we lost our lease down at the location we had on Bayshore. And so we are, as Pastor says, we're couch surfing. We have been blessed with the opportunity to move into meals. We're doing meal service 3 days a week like we have been doing at Spin. We're doing 2 of those days at St. Stephen's Episcopal Church on Regatta, and the other one is at Church of the Rock, which is on Regatta. We have been so blessed with a relationship with these folks. They are allowing us in on a temporary basis. So that is the good news. The bad news is we're made up of volunteers. Our executive director resigned a couple of months ago, so we're just kind of pulling it together and doing what we can to do that. Just to make a comment on something that was mentioned earlier, we do laundry service. We provide money every month where we give out literally, we take quarters with one of our clients over to the laundromat, put the money in the system, and do laundry. What we don't do or cannot do anymore is a shower service, which is very relevant to what we talked about earlier. I echo what Pastor Parker has said. I think we need a community task force. This is not just, we're just a handful of volunteers that care, and we want to serve our fellow neighbors. I got a call right when we lost the county grant, by the way, because one of our staff had fraternized with one of our clients, and that was against the rules, and bingo, we lost that. So we're just kind of pulling it together and making sure we survive. I do not want to close Spin per se. I want to keep it going because I think it performs a valuable service. Plus, we have a network of volunteers that come forward to help serve our meals. We have people that care. The Rotary Club, the churches is just awesome. So there's a lot of folks in our community that do care about this. I think it just takes maybe a network or some kind of a what was the word you used, Pastor David? Some kind of a task force. I don't know. I see folks here that I know kind of on the edge and say, hey, maybe there's a task force that can come about between the city and the county and the police department and the volunteers at Spin and the volunteers at our churches to see if there isn't some realistic addressing. We have recognized this is a national issue, no question about it. There's folks and communities all throughout our country that have to deal with issues of drug addiction. The homeless have drug addiction, they have mental challenges. They just have some times where they just fallen out of their luck has just run out. Part of the people we feed still have shelter. It's just that they don't have enough money to carry them into the end of the month. So we provide food for them so they can hang on to enough money to pay their rent. As simple as that is. So anyway, I just echo what has been said. I appreciate First United Methodist has been a blessing because of their commercial kitchen. So we fix the food there and then we cater it to other places to serve. So I thank you for your time, and I appreciate the work you folks are doing.
Thank you, Bob. Matt Plush?
Good evening, Council. Mayor Matt Plush, Would Be Island Bicycle Club President. Just coming to thank you for allowing us to do the cyclocross race again this year. We had 2 days of racing, December 7th and 8th. Approximately 200 riders each day, and very few of them are local. Most of them are from out of state and other parts of the state. So they came, they spent the whole weekend on the island. So appreciate opening up the park. And I know it looked bad the first couple of days, but the rains helped push the mud down, and we'll do anything we can to get it packed back down. So it looks good. So we're on it. Any question?
Thank you, Matt. Okay, other citizen comments?
So my name's Nicholas Green. I'm here again about the Uber situation. Let's see, I sent an email to Councilmember Munns. I just kind of want to elaborate a little bit on the reason why I think the business license requirements for drivers shouldn't be forced upon. Basically how Uber operates is that they pretty much pay for the commercial insurance. They set up the rides, they take the payments, they give out the receipts. The drivers don't really have any control over the pricing of the rides, so it's kind of taking them away from, lots of those transactions, and that's why hundreds of cities across the state of Washington don't charge the drivers a business license to operate as they run around picking up drivers from one city to the next. And I don't know if you guys have any questions at the moment for that. Okay. And then since it's Christmas, I got to give a mayor a gift anyways. And you guys have a nice New Year's. And I will conclude the speech. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicholas. Anyone else for citizen comment? Okay, well, thank you for that. We have a number of things. I noticed a lot of notes being taken, so thank you. We will move on then to our consent agenda. And I believe that we have items A through N on our consent agenda, and unless somebody wants to talk about one of those, they will be approved as presented. And it looks like we're going to move on to our next section. I have a couple of comments then to make under mayor's comments, and we'll give our council members a chance and our city administrator. The city offices will be closed on Wednesday, December 25th, in observance of the Christmas holiday. And again, in observance of New Year's, the city offices will be closed on Wednesday, January 1st. The next regular city council meeting will be January 7th, 2020. We will host a community open house meet and greet prior to the meeting, beginning at 5:30. We encourage you to come and meet with your council members for the 2020 year and to thank Councilman Allenberg for his service to the Oak Harbor community. He will be back at that for that meeting on January 7th. And then upcoming events, the Chamber of Commerce will host the New Year's Eve fireworks at the Oak Harbor Bay Windjammer Park on Tuesday, December 31st, 2019, beginning at 9 p.m. So I see our Chamber Executive Director out here, and looking forward to another great fireworks display. So with that, I'm going to turn it to council. Councilor Servadius.
Just as we close out the year, wanted to say Merry Christmas, have a happy holiday season to everyone, be safe, and take time to slow down and enjoy family. It always gets to be a very hectic time of the year. Mr. Wiesner asked me if I was ready, and I said, sort of, not really. With young kids, you're never ready. I guess they're not that young anymore. So anyway, just please enjoy the season. Thanks.
Great. Councilor Heisen.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a quick announcement for anyone looking for a volunteer opportunity. The Island County's annual point in time homeless count is coming up in January. I think it's always the last Thursday in January or something like that, but it's Thursday, January 23rd. This year, you can contact Emily Wildman at Island County, the Housing Assistance Center at Human Services. I'm sure if you look online or on Facebook, you can get the information, but will the city have something posted, do you know, on our website?
You know, I will try to get that done.
Okay.
Yes.
We'll make sure to try to put that information out, but it's a really interesting experience statewide on one day every year. volunteers fan out into communities to try to get a handle on how many people in their community are unsheltered and why and how long, and get some details to get a better snapshot of that. And you can volunteer all day, you can volunteer for an hour or two. It's actually it's really illuminating. I highly suggest it to anyone who has the time or the inclination, and they always need volunteers. So, and we do this all over the island, not just in Oak Harbor. So you get a hold of somebody if you need more information on that. And also, I had the opportunity to go down to the Lot Clean Water Facility in Olympia with a whole busload of staff last week, and we were able to look at their treatment center's interpretive center, which was really reminiscent of something you might see at the Pacific Science Center, really interactive and educational. And it was cool. I'm really, really excited to be part of that team and to see some of the ideas. Staff had great ideas, great insight. We've got great people working here, and if we think the splash park is fun outside, wait till you see the kind of things that we can do inside. It's really going to be fantastic, and I'm really excited. So thank you to the mayor and my fellow council members for allowing me to be on that part of that team. It's something I'm really excited about, so thank you.
Thanks for taking your time to go. Back to that point in time count, I was at the Board of Health meeting today, heard a couple of people there who have volunteered to do that, and one of the commissioners actually told a story about last year volunteering and finding a classmate, and what an experience that was, that she found actually a classmate in the count, and something that, like she said, she'll never forget.
Yeah.
So, okay, other council comments? Okay, we'll go to city administrator.
Yeah, I got a few tonight. So my Uber update, since the last council meeting, city staff did reach out to Uber. Uber said they were working on the application, and to date, they have not completed the application. So we'll continue to do our effort to try to encourage them to get that application so we can start operating in the city. Want to call your attention to the upcoming important city council dates. Mayor addressed some of them, and I just want you to start marking your calendar for our retreat on February 1st. So it's a Saturday, so start marking your calendar for that. Moving on to try to address a little bit of the issue on homelessness. Addressing homelessness is a county function, and the city has provided additional support. In 2017, the city contributed $5,000. In 2019, the city contributed $9,000, and we did have a request this year for 2020, or next year for 2020. The mayor and I are looking what funds are available, and I think the goal is in the future in our 2021 and 22 budget to look at an expenditure. That's why we have the difficulty in trying to squeeze it in. So we've been doing that for three out of the four last years, and so I think certainly if the council wants to make a larger contribution, we can budget that in and then be able to provide some more solid funding for them. I think certainly city staff is open to working with any community leaders in addressing this issue and working with the county. There is some initiatives on the county-wide to end homelessness, and one of our development services director serves on that committee, trying to come up with a 5-year plan. I think it's a major function of our legislative priorities. I think the council is aware of that. We consider it part of behavior health, like what addressed a lot of these people have drug issues and other issues and mental health issues that are contributing to their homelessness issues. And certainly I know city staff, we've attended and listened to a number of workshops and looking what tools that city have to address this issue, and we'll continue to work on doing that, addressing this issue, and really appreciate the input from the citizens in the community tonight. Tying into Council Member Heisen's comments there, the senior center is part of the effort there in the point in time count, and they're utilizing that facility for that effort, so there is city support there for that effort. That concludes my comments. Any questions?
Okay. Thank you. We will move on then to item number 6A. 6A is ordinance number 1893, mid-budget amendment to 2020 beginning fund balances. We have our Finance Director, Patricia Soul, with us. Patricia?
Good evening. So this is ordinance that we do in the middle of any of our biennial budgets. And this one is a little different. We have a couple of things that we've added to it. It's required to modify and take a look at your biennial budget within 8 months or at the end of the first fiscal year. We're hitting right at the end of the first fiscal year. And we also are using this as a way to split out the money from 502, which is for our replacement vehicles, where all of the replacement funds were held, into 505, which is the technology replacement, and 504, which is the facility replacement. So we've broken it apart to make it more transparent. And the other thing that we're doing here, if you go to page 189 of the packet, we are also providing a report on the REIT excise funding, which is for REIT 1 and REIT 2. At the mid-biennial, we took a look at everything that was going on our projects, and we've modified it. All the modified changes are in color, starting at page 193, and they go to page 196, and each section has explanation in color to try to make it easier for council to have seen what changed. Then we also have attached on page 197 how the changes were made with explanations for each change. Staff would recommend that you adopt ordinance 1893, amending the 2019-20 biennial budget.
Okay, we'll see if anybody here wants to speak to that before we go to council. Seeing none. Councilor Heisen.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to say thank you. The explanations and the pluses and the minuses, and I know that it took time to put this together, but it answered probably 30 questions, so it probably saved time in the long run. But thank you. It's really, really well done.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Anyone else? Councilor Servadius.
If there are no further questions, I move to adopt ordinance number 1893.
Second.
Okay, got a motion to adopt ordinance number 1893. Motion by Councilor Servadius, second by Councilor Heisen. Okay, seeing no other questions or input, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously. Okay, we will move on to item number 6B, which is ordinance number 1894, adopting amendments to capital improvement plan and comprehensive plan. And we have our senior planner, Kat Kamak.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. Kat Kamak, senior planner, here to present the annual comprehensive plan amendments. We go through this every year. This is an annual process to look at what we want to amend, and we get to December where we consider these adoptions. However, nothing in these documents should be a surprise to City Council. We've kept you up to date on these amendments as we go through the process all year long, and met with the Planning Commission and the City Council in a joint meeting and discussed a lot of these items on the workshop in workshop settings. I'll go through a quick and short presentation on how we got here. So. Items that are considered for amendments are usually put in a docket. The 2019 docket had the Parks, Recreation, and Open Space Plan, had the Economic Development Element Update, Capital Improvements Plan, Housing Element, JPA, and UGA Boundary. We've updated the Parks and Recreation Element. This is a plan that the City Council adopted in June. What we do for the comprehensive plan is take some of the major policies, goals, et cetera, from the Parks Plan and put it in the comprehensive plan and make that amendment. So this was done after the adoption. The capital improvement plan, this is one of the things that we look at every year. It's a living document. As we go through the year, many decisions and changes are made. Schedules are sometimes altered. So in reviewing the schedule and status of the projects, we've taken out the projects that have been completed or at least close to completion. Some of the projects that have been completed are the Windjammer Park playground equipment, the Portland Loos, the Rock Bridge water transmission main, Banter Road transmission main. These are the projects we've completed, so we've taken them out of the CIP. We've reflected projects in progress with a new column this year in the CIP to kind of show you the status of how the funds are being spent. There have been some minor changes in project schedules, not much to even mention. However, there's two projects that have been added, and these are based on City Council input. One is the Goldie Road Basin Sewer that was discussed as part of an annexation request early this year. There was interest by City Council to consider a sewer project in that area, so we've added that project for the 21-24 timeframe. And Pioneer Way water line replacement, one of the water line going under Pioneer Way needs to be replaced, so we've added that project. So those are the two additions to this year's CIP. The economic development element, the City Council and the Planning Commission had a joint workshop on this and reviewed this element. If you remember, terminology such as zombie policies was used in that. So we went ahead and updated a lot of it. This element could use a lot more updates, but we've done what we can this year. We'll continue to look for opportunities to amend this and update this element. The housing element, this is, as the City Council knows, a very challenging aspect in our community and for the region. We have been successful in acquiring some grants from the Department of Commerce. We'll probably come to you with ideas on how to channel those grant dollars and have it working for us in updating our housing element. So this will continue on to the 2020 docket. The JPA and UJ, this is not necessarily a comprehensive plan amendment because we don't have the JPA boundaries in our comprehensive plan. However, it is in the county's comprehensive plan, and we have asked the county to consider it as part of their 2020 docket, so we're tracking it with our comprehensive plan amendments. We've already reached out to them, and we're creating a framework for discussing how the boundaries could be amended. So we'll be bringing some of that information to you in the 2020 update. So the three aspects of the comprehensive plan that are being updated are reviewed against the criteria that's established in the comprehensive plan. I won't go into them in detail, but the report has an explanation of how they meet the review criteria. We follow the key process in approving the docket and to have these discussion points at the Planning Commission and the City Council all year long. So I've just highlighted some of the key dates. We're here with the City Council action in December. So if you have any questions on the amendments, I'll be happy to answer them. If not, we recommend that you approve the ordinance adopting the capital improvements plan and the comprehensive plan amendments. Questions?
Okay, I guess we'll open the public hearing at this time.
Just clarification question, because I'm just getting up to date on this, but I'm on the Main Street Association Committee also, and there has been some concern about the land that's down near Coochie Realty that was sold and was going to be a low-income housing development. Where is that? Do you have a status on? I understand there was an appeal to try to change that, and I don't know if there's a status on that. I'm just asking as a concerned citizen here.
Thank you, Bob. We'll see if anyone else has got anything, and then we'll bring CAC back at this point. Seeing no other input or, so I can give a brief answer, I think, in that there was a Land Use Petition Act filed with the Superior Court in Coopville that is in process. And they've just submitted their first set of papers, I think, within the last few days. And so then there will be an answer to those. So it's in process. It's about.
There's no particular timeline, is there?
Well, I think there are timelines, but we have a certain amount of days before we respond. And then I think there'll be days that they respond. Did you have anything in addition to that, Nikki?
So the city's brief is due on January 16th, and then they have a strict reply due a week later, and then there's a hearing on February 6th.
February
6th.
6th. Did you hear that, Bob? There's actually a hearing on February 6th.
Thank you.
You bet. So we're still in the public hearing process here for this ordinance 1894. Any other? Okay, nothing from the public. In addition, so CAC will bring you back. Thank you. And we'll take it here at council. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you. Mr. Komet, by adding the JPA, UGA boundaries, is there anything else we need to be sure we have it on a list so that when they bring it up on their docket and if they make a decision, we can act? I mean, we've been working on this really for years in trying to get it further down so that we can have a bigger vision and plan it out correctly. And so I was just wondering if there's something else besides this that we needed to have somewhere else in our planning so that if they act, we have the dominoes ready to go.
I don't think the JPA discussion or any changes to the JPA boundary will warrant any immediate changes to the comprehensive plan for us. There will be some follow-up discussions to see if we need to amend our UGA, our urban growth boundary, but we're not there yet, and so it would be a little premature to have some of these lined up if we really don't know where we're going with it. So the JPA is the first step in determining that. The housing element will help as well, so we'll collect all of that information and then we'll know what steps that we need to do in order to amend our comprehensive plan. So, I mean, the comprehensive plan process is structured for that purpose, is to give us that pace, consistent pace to look at it. So currently just having the JPA is the wisest thing to do, and not try and line up other things because we don't know it. Others will be tracking everything in a docket format, just having a wish list, so to speak. So this is more of a realistic list to try to get things done.
Okay. For our tip, I believe we have to have things listed, otherwise then you can't apply, and it doesn't matter what order they're in, it's just they have to be on a list somewhere so that you have a chance to apply for grants and other things. I just wanted to be sure there wasn't something else we needed to just have it listed, even though there's no plans or whatever, so we can switch it around and then act. So that's the only purpose, is to be sure we've remembered every little thing. That's all. Thank you very much.
Good question.
So, anyone else with questions? Councilor
I
Heisen.
was just going to make a motion if you.
That's what I was going to do. Go ahead.
I move to adopt ordinance number 1894.
Second.
So we've got a motion and a second to adopt ordinance number 1894. Motion by Councilor Heisen. I'll give the second to Councilor Servadius. Seeing no other questions or input, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that passes unanimously. Well, thank you for that, CAC, and we will move on then to item number 8A, under contracts and agreements, professional service agreement, Santangelo Enterprises DBA Interpreting Technology IT Managed Care Services. And we have Patricia Soul coming back.
Good evening again. So we went through a RFQ process that we put out. Hold on, let me get to the page. Over 56 vendors were asked to solicit we solicited from the MRSC rosters, put the bid out in both Whidbey Times and the Daily Journal of Commerce. The city received 6 responses that were due on December 2nd, 2019. An evaluation team was formed of 3 participants, and the score sheet is on page 504 of your agenda packet. During our consideration, we looked at 2 vendors because the other ones were significantly higher priced. Whidbey Telecom and Interpreting Tech. And we went through,
Patricia,
yes.
Whidbey Tech Solutions.
Whidbey Tech Solutions, sorry. Did I say telecom? I always say telecom, so sorry. And Interpreting Technology. When we were looking at it, we kind of took a look at a multitude of factors. On page 506, it shows how the scoring sheet was set up. And 30 points of the 100 went towards the actual price. Whidbey Tech came in $40,000 less than Interpreting Tech, but we have some projects, 2 of them, the servers as well as the wireless, that both we want to get done as soon as possible. Whidbey Tech, or Interpreting Tech came in from the school district in November of 2018. And they came in literally doing triage when they got here. When they came on, the disconnect of the fiber stopped everything. They lost service for one of our public safety programs that was very critical. They spent a lot of time working on that. They did a lot of emergency repairs. They were able to replace a significant number of our computers over this last year. And they are starting to pull us out from where we were, which was kind of in a mess. That pushed off the servers. But the servers are a priority to us as a city, so to decide between Whidbey Tech and Interpreting Tech, we sent out a request to see how soon the servers could be up. Whidbey Tech isn't familiar with our system, so it would have taken them 3 months or more to get familiar, and then another 3 months to do the servers. Interpreting Tech can have the servers done by March 23rd, and they can have the wireless up and going by the end of March, based on us providing them with information by January 12th. So due to that, the scoring results on page 504 show that Interpreting Tech came in at 259 combined points. So each one of us scored up to 100 points. And Whidbey Tech came in at 236. So because of that, we believe that Interpreting Tech would be the best solution for the city. And we would like to recommend that the mayor authorized the mayor to sign the professional services contract with Santiago Enterprises LLC, DBA Interpreting Tech for IT support services for January 1st through December 31st of 2020. At the end of 2020, we'll be looking hopefully at a different structure where that we will hopefully be able to hire someone in-house and then use the consulting services for the oversight and the high-end activities. But we really feel that we need another year to get everything up strong and the servers working, the wireless working, and any other things that come up in this year. And we're hoping there won't be as much, and I know Interpreting Tech is also. Adrian Santiago is here if you have any specific tech questions, and I will leave it at that.
Okay, we'll see if anybody from the public has any input or questions. Okay, seeing none, bring it to the council for questions or input. Councilor Servadius.
Thank you, Mayor. Obviously, this is something that's near and dear to me, trying to keep an eye on technology. Mr. Santangelo, if you jump up here. I want to say first and foremost, thank you. I know you guys inherited a bit of a hornet's nest, and you've been working through that, and I've sat in on a couple of those meetings, so I thank you for that. Having said that, before I throw my vote into this. Patricia, you said as long as we get them information by January 12th, we're looking for a server stand-up date of, and I wanted to hear Adrian say that date as well.
You bet. So we are looking, there's a lot of emails and just discussions back and forth about what information we need. When we came into the network, we were handed basically 6 half-page notepad documents of documentation, which made it very difficult to take over the entire network. We have since at last check, 467 pages of documentation, and we are still nowhere near complete. We are discovering new things every single week. Because of that, the information we're asking for by January 13th is to make sure that we can actually do this, what we say we can do, is information from department heads on programs in use, software in use, data files that are needed, all that kind of stuff, because we're still lacking some of the documentation. When we pull the servers out from under and put in the brand new ones, there's a lot of stuff that's likely to break unless we have the right stuff. So we don't want to even do that, even by our discovered date of March 30th currently, wireless up by March 23rd. We don't want to even start that process because what we call it the scream test, where you take something away and see who screams, it's not ideal for this kind of a scenario. There's going to be too many people screaming, and there's going to be problems that we can't solve quickly when we need to. So we're asking for that information up front and first to make sure that we walk into this with 100% of what we need. We have about probably 80% of it right now.
Great, thank you.
You bet.
Mayor Pro Tem.
We always try to hire locally, but you have proven that you're willing to dig deep and dark and find little things that have been unhooked or whatever. And we really need this done sooner than later. We've been so behind for such a long time that I think it's well worth it to have this up and going. And I think that department heads and people using this every day, just having a new phone system was a nightmare, but it seems to be working and everyone seems to be happy. So I appreciate all the hard work. So
Thank you.
I think this is a good one to support.
And for the record, we have 2 of our staff live on the island, so we're kind of local.
Anyone else? Councilor Servadius.
Thank you. I move to authorize the mayor to sign the professional services contract with Santangelo Enterprises LLC, DBA Interpreting Technology for IT support services for January 1 through December 31st, 2020.
Second.
Got a motion and a second that reads exactly like the recommended action in your packet. A motion by Councilor Servadius, second by Mayor Pro Tem. No other questions or input. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay,
Thank you.
that passes unanimously. Congratulations. We'll move on now to item number 8B, Professional Service Agreement, Pacific Construction Consultants. Construction audit of the Clean Water Facility Construction Project. And Patricia Soul again. Wow, it's a
Lucky you guys.
finance show tonight.
Thanks. So we did an RFQ, and we only received 2 responses on this one. We went through the MRSC roster. We used Dan Chandler, who is the GCCM advisor, as far as who we should solicit that would be qualified to do this. This is required by RCW 39.10.350 for any general contract construction manager or GCCM process to construct a heavy civil construction, which is what the Clean Water Facility is. Pacific Construction Consultants' response is attached. They have significant amount of experience. They have a lot of recommendations. They have a set process that's very consistent with making sure that they cover all the bases. They have 2 different options, which our recommendation is to do both. The first one is to do the pre-close audit, which is necessary since we do not have a final bill from Hoffman at this point. They're just working on the final checklist items, but until you have a final bill, then it's still considered in process. and that cost is $32,250. They also have an option for a final cost reconciliation, which is where they go back over the things they weren't able to touch on during their pre-close audit and ensure that the credits that they identify have been taken and that nothing else came through that was off or incorrect. Both of those together is $45,250. They said it will take 10 to 12 weeks to do the pre-close audit, but the other one will not be able to be done until we get the final bill, which we're thinking is probably within 6 months. So I have done this request as a year, so go through December 31st of 2020, just in case, since you just never know. And the requested action is to authorize the mayor to sign the professional service agreement for construction auditing services with Pacific Construction Consultants.
See if anybody from the public has any input or questions. Nope, that doesn't look like it. We'll bring Patricia back. I can't tell you how many times I've been asked whether we're going to have that project audited. I have heard that over and over in this community, and even though we do get a state audit and a couple that have looked hard into that project during the time we were constructing it, we're definitely going to have this final audit done. It's required, and it's part of that GCCM process that we decided to do many years ago when we decided to build that project. So I'm looking forward to seeing this get completed. I know it's going to take a while, and I think the public's been asking for it, and we're certainly going to be able to give it to them. So, that's my
And I
piece.
did forget to mention that they will be presenting to council when the audit is done, so you will hear directly from them.
So yes, Councilor Servadius.
Thank you. I know so that we've got the pre-close audit, and then there's the final cost reconciliation, depending on what they find. I'm looking through on some of the deliverables. If you know the answer to this, I don't know. Are they going to work through, probably a lot of it will be Brett and Kathy, but, I was in a Parks Board meeting and I heard we had an issue with Portland Luz. So do those types of items get reconciled before they can even audit this process?
Anything that's still on the checklist would be under the final close with Hoffman, but anything that is already done and billed for is what they're going to be looking in the pre-close. So what they're going to do is they're going to go to Hoffman to substantiate what we have. They're going to, in our initial meeting, it'll be with me, Brett, Kathy, and we will sit down and find out exactly what they're looking for. The sooner we can get them the documents, which they're all electronic, so we'll be able to email to them, then they'll start looking through them, and then they'll be setting up an appointment with Hoffman to actually audit their records. Because they're looking to see if Hoffman followed the contract when they billed us. So they're going to go to their source documents, not just ours.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Other questions? Yes, Mayor Pro Tem.
If we're ready to move on, I'll make the motion. I move to authorize the mayor to sign the professional service agreement for construction auditing services with Pacific Construction Consultants.
Second.
So we've got a motion and a second. The motion reads exactly like the recommended action in our packet. Motion by Mayor Pro Tem, second by Councilor Servadius. No other questions, input? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that passes unanimously. Thank you, Patricia. So at this time, I believe that we will go to executive session as authorized under RCW 4230-110, 1-I, to discuss a pending litigation. The executive session will take place in the mayor's conference room, and it is expected to last approximately 20 minutes. Council is not expected to take action following the executive session. The regular council meeting will reconvene afterwards. So we should be back in 20 minutes, and it's 6:59, so that should be about 7:20.
course you did.
Okay, I'd like to reconvene the Oak Harbor City Council meeting of December 17th. We have just come back from executive session where no decisions were made, and it is 7:25, and we've concluded our regular agenda business, so if nobody's got any.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.